this is Aoife Dean and this is the Happy Weight Podcast. I hope you are well today. I hope you've had a nice week. And today I want to talk, about low self-esteem. Because low self-esteem is everything in a weight problem. Like, the more I do my work, I'm like, it has nothing to do with food and weight. Food and weight is just the stick we decide to beat ourselves with when we have low self-esteem. Because when we have low self-esteem, we think we should be beating ourselves with some stick, and this is the stick we choose. So the solution will never be in changing your nutrition or changing your weight. It will be in changing your self-esteem and how you talk to yourself and what you put up with in a day, what you think you mentally deserve to put up with and what you think you physically deserve to put up with in a day. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. Wanting to start a business 10 or 12 years ago helped my eating disorders more than my degree in dietetics. And that's a big sweeping statement, but mainly because I was mainlining TED Talks and videos on YouTube and books and literally anything I could get my hands on for people who had already set up businesses. And of course, I was going for the top. I was going for people who had set up really successful businesses, which is what we do with everything, except, side note, not with dieting. People study dieters rather than people who've never had weight issues. It would be better to study people who've never had weight issues and copy them, not dieters. But anyway, back from that side note. So I was, if you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, I was just in, my God, such a confident land of people, because I was, like I said, mainlining this stuff all day. These people who had to have confidence. Like, you have to have confidence if you want to start a business. If you don't have confidence, there is no business. No problem, no business. But to have a business, there has to be faith in yourself and a positive outcome. And just, it happened through osmosis. It wasn't from any individual thing that any one of these people would have said. But, it just started dawning on me that, I was going to bed every night. Like, my eating was all over the place and my weight was all over the place. And my eating was all over the place because, the end justifies the means. Like, when you've disordered eating, that's the only way you approach things. Like, you're eating 2 kilos of minced meat with mayonnaise and cheddar cheese or something because you're on keto, and this makes sense because you want to lose weight. And it's like, what? You know what I mean? So, or I'd be overeating loads, or I'd have had a huge binge, and I would have had a huge binge because, tomorrow I'm going to be good. So the end justifies the means. Whereas when you're listening to high self-esteem people, there is no throwing themselves under a bus. Like, there is no, oh, I deserve to feel crap every day. Like, that's just not how they go about life. So part of me started realizing it doesn't even matter what my weight is like in a month or 2 months' time. I shouldn't have to go to bed feeling sick. Like, I shouldn't have to eat meals that don't taste nice. I shouldn't have to finish a bag of crisps if I already feel sick. Like, I shouldn't have to do all of these uncomfortable things that my mind was telling me, because my mind had low self-esteem, basically. Like, I used to talk to myself like rubbish. And if you talk to yourself like rubbish, you will treat yourself like rubbish. You will. And I've noticed this with clients, right? Because I could have caught them after maybe they turned a corner in the last 2 days and something bad happened to them. And now they are hell for leather in a bad place. Hell for leather, giving out to themselves, saying there's no hope, their body is disgusting, they're wrong, their eating is wrong, it's all wrong, like in a really, really bad place. And then probably the hardest part of my work, the biggest part of my work is I know they're on borrowed time now, because if they haven't already taken this out on their body by abusing themselves with food and making themselves eat crap they're not even enjoying and making sure they go to bed feeling gross and making sure they wake up feeling gross, they're about to. Like, they're on borrowed time. So it is my job to intervene on those calls and turn things around quick to minimize the damage they are going to do to their intake, because losing weight is all about reducing the surpluses. It's reducing the extreme eating. It's reducing how often we overeat. And I would go so far as It's about reducing how often we overeat in a self-sabotage way, right? And if we talk to ourselves in a bad way, which I don't know the ins and outs of it, but that's what I would say self-esteem is down to. Self-esteem is how badly you're willing to talk to yourself, or how well you're willing to talk to yourself. And like when we talk to ourselves badly, that's not the end of the story. Like I said, if I have a client who has been talking to themselves really badly for the last 2 days, we can start a countdown timer to them overeating. Like it's going to happen. So overeating is the punishment for low self-esteem. Like, you do not feel bad today because of what you've eaten. We keep eating badly because we think we don't deserve to be proud of ourselves today. We think we don't deserve to feel good. So us eating badly is always the outcome of low self-esteem. Like, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm making sense, but like, I would have thought it was the other way anyway. I would have thought that I feel bad about myself because of my current weight and because of what I've eaten this week. And it's like, no, you overate this week because you were talking so badly to yourself. And I suppose another example I have of that is when I was in Port Banús when I was 20, I had a serious medical condition, undiagnosed. I was losing a lot of weight fast. And it was really weird because my mindset was I was a fat girl who couldn't get slim. I was a fat girl who couldn't get slim. And I used to talk to myself really badly. And my entire diet was self-sabotage, self-sabotage, self-sabotage. And then that was continuing as usual. However, I was losing loads of weight because I was extremely ill. And so, like, I couldn't self-sabotage basically enough to put on weight or keep my overweightness. Like, I couldn't. My body was too sick. And then a really weird thing happened that I realized that, whether I have the crisps or I don't have the crisps, I can't tell myself, oh, you're such a failure and you'll never lose weight if you eat these crisps, because I actively was losing weight. And what happened then was the novelty of eating the crisps completely wore off, because if I couldn't beat myself up for eating the crisps, what was the point in eating the crisps? Do you know what I mean? So I couldn't exhibit my low self-esteem through overeating anymore or sabotaging my weight, because my weight was going down regardless of what I ate. So that really hit at home to me as well, that like overeating is just the stick we beat ourselves with when we have all the negative thinking. So to permanently change weight, we have to stop getting in our own way. So like I said, for all the negative thinking we do, sabotage is coming. And what is the biggest way you could sabotage yourself? The biggest way you could sabotage yourself is to ruin a really important goal. So if it's been on our mind pretty much forever that we wanted to get slimmer or healthier or whatever, well then when we're being really mean to ourselves mentally, like, what is the biggest possible punishment we could give ourselves? The biggest possible punishment we could give ourselves is not letting ourselves let go of a weight problem. That is pretty much the biggest punishment we could give ourselves. So this is why whenever we're being really, really mean to ourselves, you can set your watch to it, but there will be some overeating. There will be some ensuring you stay at this weight. And this is another reason why I go on and on and on about you do not need to find ways to lose weight. You need to see what you're doing that forces yourself to keep weight on. So there's loads of things and ways of being or ways of doing things that you do that always mean you end up sabotaging, or it always means you end up overeating, or it always means you end up binge eating. So it always means you keep up the weight. So we need to get rid of those things that always result in overeating or whatever. So I suppose the first thing that we need to become aware of course, is how we're talking about ourselves. And like, this isn't me being Pollyanna positive or, oh, let's just be cheesy self-help people now or whatever. Like, this is more about results, because it's like we're not going to get an amazing, improved outcome. We're not gonna reach our potential by talking to ourselves like absolute crap. And if we talk to ourselves like absolute crap, if you are willing to look in the mirror and call your body disgusting and look at photos and see what's wrong with them, see how ugly you are and fat you are, whatever. If we're willing to do that, how could we have the eating and the body of someone who loves themselves? Like, how? So instead now, I think we want to become a little bit self-aware, just self-awareness to begin with. And just even without or before changing anything, just being aware of, okay, well, at least let's check out what is the positive to negative split here. Like, okay, so I said I'm a greedy, disgusting person for eating so much biscuits yesterday. Yeah, okay, cool. And then how many positive things did I say to myself this week about my eating? How many times did I say like, wow, well done, great choice, love what you done there? Like, how many times did we do that? Because that gives us an insight into where we're going, and then say with our body, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, so we gave ourselves an awful time for how we looked in that photo yesterday. And then how many times were we super grateful, super self-loving, everything about our body in the mirror, in our photo? Or how many times were we grateful for the health that we have, or the meds we don't have to take that friends or other people have, the diseases you don't have that I have or other people have? Like, you have a lot to be grateful for. And, was there moments like that in the week? And I suppose that's just practically, like I said, we know that from a results level, our self-talk about our body and our eating would have to be in a positive place in order to get positive results. So Rome wasn't built in a day. We just want to start gradually shifting things now. So I suppose with awareness being the first step, you hear absolute toxic things that you tell yourself that in no way could result to someone having more confidence or hope in the goal. In no way. Like I said, if you were to say them to a friend, if you were to say them to your sister or your mom or whoever, there is absolutely no way that's helping them get to their goal. So that you've the same clarity on that, okay, that is something I did there to set myself back. So what am I going to do now to push myself forward? So we'd become really aware of it. Then I suppose another way of looking at it that I started doing as well was, if we're kind of like, geez, I'd say I ate way too much yesterday. Yeah, what did I eat? God, I ate loads of that. That was way too big. And oh my God, I ate all of that as well. Jeez, oh my God, let's tot it all up now. Or God forbid you write it into a nap or work out the calories or whatever. It's like, wait, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Like, if you successfully convince yourself that you were a useless piece of crap for what you ate yesterday, and everything you ate yesterday was wrong, and it was definitely too much, and it definitely means you haven't changed one iota and you'll never change. If you successfully convince yourself of all of those things, why would you do that? Like, what next? Like, where is that going to bring you? If you fully, categorically prove to yourself that everything you ate yesterday was wrong, where does that leave you? Like, is there a benefit to doing that? Because, like, I could have eaten a load of stuff yesterday and say, like, if I had multiple takeaways last night, or if I ate a cucumber for my supper last night, how could you tell me, oh, I know your weight in 6 months. I know what your weight is going to be like in a year. Like, that is really illogical. So it's just as illogical if you're doing the same to you. If you're kind of saying, oh, because I ate that last week, or because I ate like that last night, that means in 1 month's time my weight's going to be like this, or this means I'm never going to lose weight. Like, that is an illogical thought now, and we have to catch those illogical thoughts early. Hey, while we're talking about self-esteem, if you're a current or former client, don't forget you've all those hypnosis recordings and affirmation recordings on the members area of the website. And for non-clients, if you'd like to buy Happy Hypno Weight, that's a whole program dedicated to hypnosis recordings and affirmations that will help boost your self-esteem and your relationship with food. You can check that out at happyweight.ie. Thank you. So I'm going to see, do I have anything else written down here? Oh, I suppose another like because all of this is subject to change, right? And we can have weeks where we've lower self-esteem. We can have weeks where we've higher self-esteem. This is not a binary, permanent thing. This is not your personality or whatever. Like I said, this is all subject to change. This is all subject to how you decide to talk to yourself now or how you decide to treat yourself. But I suppose when we are in very low self-esteem places, one of the signs is we feel kind of offended often. Like we feel like people are making little digs at us. Or, it just might be totting up a bit now that we kind of think, was she giving me a little dig there? And was he giving me a little dig there? And basically, I would say the degree to which you're offended is the degree to which your self-talk is really bad. Because if you're constantly very critical of yourself, you assume everyone wants to criticize you and everyone is seeing all the flaws that you see in yourself. Then someone with higher self-esteem, if it's not on their radar to talk to themselves in a very negative way, they're not gonna think people are trying to offend them. And to be honest now, I would put myself in that category. I have done a lot of work on myself. So maybe there are people like trying to insult me or offend me or whatever all the time. I'm not aware of it though. I'm not aware of it. It's just not on my radar. I wouldn't presume people are doing that to me because I don't do it to myself. So that's a real good litmus test of where you are at the moment, is how often you've been offended lately by people. The next thing is feeling like a martyr. I suppose these are nearly more behaviours now, right? Because if we're being left feel like a martyr, that's us doing a lot of jobs basically and doing a lot of things for other people without actually having the battery power to do those things. Or we're getting through a long list of jobs and none of the tasks on our list involve sufficient self-care. So if you're feeling like a martyr at all, I suppose the tough pill to swallow is that that's no one's fault. That's not your boss's fault. That's not your husband's fault. That's not your colleague's fault. That's not your clients or students' fault. That's fully on you, because everyone presumes that everyone has good boundaries and everyone presumes you would not be doing this unless you had the energy to do it. And if you're doing things that you don't have the energy to do, or you don't have, the support or whatever in place to do, that's kind of on you, because people aren't telepathic. People don't know your boundaries unless you tell them. And I've worked with like a lot of people and a lot of moms and a lot of people obviously with jobs and stuff like that. And it could just come down to one conversation with your partner or your boss or your sister-in-law that, no, you can't do that. You don't have the time this week, or you don't have the energy this week. So it's a no. And like the really weird thing about that is the more boundaries you have, the more people respect you. And I suppose like coming out of weight issues is really a mantra of, I think I deserve to feel better than this. Like mentally and physically, I think I deserve to feel better than I have been feeling. And that's on a day-to-day basis. So one of the biggest myths about weight and eating that really drives weight problems and drives people staying stuck and never changing is the idea that you will be happy when you're slim and never a minute before it, because it's actually the polar opposite. Like, I've just come off the phone from a client. She's literally only 2 days in and she feels lighter and she feels better. Like, she feels physically lighter. She feels mentally, emotionally lighter. And she's only 2 days in. And like with all my clients, if you're a client, you'll know this. I am like, okay, we need to concrete this memory. You need to have this memory at hand for your next bad mood or your next hormonal day. Because when we're in bad moods, our old mindset says utter crap. And some of the crap it says that, like, you will not be happy until you're at your ideal weight. And for today, you're just a fat slob and you feel gross and you're awful and blah, 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 blah. And there's nothing you can do about it until you're slim. The reality is our day is made up of thousands upon thousands of micro choices. All of those micro choices could make us feel a little bit better or a little bit worse, mentally or physically. So it could be 6 a.m., it could be 1 p.m., it could be 5 to midnight, but it is never too late to make a micro choice that makes you feel a bit better. And also the thing is that you could be your ideal weight and feel horrific. Like, you could be your ideal weight and feel horrific because of how you've eaten and how you've treated your body this week. And you could feel horrific mentally, like as in, it's not as if my slimmer clients have less disordered eating or whatever. Like, all of my clients are on the whole spectrum of weight, and weight doesn't predict anything with how bad your disordered eating is. So you could be your ideal weight and feel mentally and physically awful. And you could be not at your ideal weight yet, but you could feel a hell of a lot better than you did last week. And you could be feeling nice after meals, and you could be choosing to say nice things to yourself. And that's the road forward. Like, the joy is in the journey. And what's life-changing about changing weight and eating issues isn't the outcome of the weight, like, at all. What's life-changing about healing from eating and weight issues is what you have to no longer put up with on a day-to-day basis. Like, I no longer have to put up with toxic, negative thinking that ruled my entire day. I no longer have to put up with obsessing about what I ate yesterday. I don't even remember what I ate yesterday. It's not really something on my mind. I'm focused on how I feel now and what I need to do to feel well next. So the joy is in the journey, and that's why don't let yourself off the hook for today. Like, no matter, it literally does not matter what weight you are. It does not matter what you ate yesterday. Let's start talking about self-esteem and building self-esteem. That means that it does not matter what your eating was, or it doesn't matter what your weight is. You do not have a right to speak to yourself badly today. And from here, you are going to be speaking to yourself well. And when we start speaking to ourselves well, something amazing happens. So negative self-talk always leads to sabotage, and sabotage eating and overeating and binge eating. What starts happening when you start talking to yourself nicely, and I see this with every client, is you actually do the opposite. You start having really protective instincts. You start being like, if I don't eat something now, I'm going to be starving on the road in an hour, and I'm going to have to pull into a filling station, and then the only thing I'll be able to get there is crap that makes me feel crap. So you start having really protective instincts. And like I said, even with boundaries, you start being like, no, because do you know what? If I said yes to this now, I'm going to be absolutely burnt out, and I'm going to be feeling awful, and I'm going to have no love, no energy left in the tank, no creativity left, and I'm going to be so burnt out. All I'm going to be able to do is be on a heap on the couch, exhausted with share bags. So like, talking to yourselves nicely starts helping us almost predict the future and be like, ooh, that's something that could like make me feel uncomfortable or lead me to overeating or eating in a disgusting way. So I'm going to predict and prevent that. So that's another huge reason why talking nicely to ourselves opens up all these opportunities for feeling better. So I suppose with all of that, what we really have to think with weight loss is not about you going out there and finding diets and finding ways to cut out foods or cut out calories. It's actually more of a question of, why have you not let yourself be at your natural weight? Like, why? And if this offends you, I'll just talk in context to myself. I would have started asking myself, like, why do you keep putting yourselves in corners where your only option is to overeat a load of crap? Or why, you know, in any respect, either how we schedule our day, or like I said, if we talk to ourselves so in such a mean way for so long, the only outcome of that is treating ourselves like crap as well. So the bigger question is, why will we not let ourselves get to our natural weight. And that is always low self-esteem. We don't think we deserve to be spoken to nicely. We don't think, and it's always a not there yet thing. It's always like, oh no, I'll talk to myself nicely after I've had a good week of eating, or I'll talk to myself nicely once I lose a few kilos, but no, I don't deserve it today. And then that's then kicking the can down the road where we never change. Whereas actually full change would be realizing we always deserve to speak well to ourselves. And every single thought and word that you say to yourself that's positive and encouraging and supportive and helping you reach your mental and physical potential, you can be guaranteed that will pay off in a protective, nicer way of eating. And I think that's really worthwhile to remember. So I hope today's session helped. I hope it convinced you to put a lid on any toxic thinking and start curbing it one by one. You do not want to keep yourself in this situation where your self-esteem is so low, you have to keep taking it out on your weight and your body and your eating. It's not fair. So best of luck with it. And if you want to work with me one-to-one, please go to happyweight.ie. You can catch me at happyweight Aoife on social media. And thank you so much for being here. And I hope you have a lovely week.